Hi everyone, welcome to Notorious Wing. If you're new to this channel, I upload new video on Monday and Wednesday talking about lifestyle, Ashtanga yoga, and Funko Pop, and maybe sometime video games. If this is something you like, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, the red button, to follow me. Shall we get started? Last time I talked about forward bending and lower back injuries. In this week's video, I will be following up with back bend. In Ashtanga yoga, one of the closing posture is the Urdhva Dhanurasana, translated into upward bow posture, which is back bend. And before we get into the mechanic of back bend, I want to briefly just mention about the human anatomy, focusing on your vertebrate column. The vertebrate column support your skull, trunk, the movement, and it also protect your spinal cord and absorb the stresses when we walk, when we run, lifting, those sort of actions. And there's total 33 vertebrate and intervertebral discs. We could also further categorize into 5 groups. There's cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacrum, and coccyx, which make up the S shape of your body, the S curve, and which make us able to bipedal, which is walking up, standing up. That's unique to the human. And we developed the S shape from the age 3 and onward. If you look at newborn baby, their spinal cord is shaped like a C, which is similar in mammals and primates. So now let's briefly talk about the mechanic of back bend. We lie down and we bend the leg, draw our heels towards the buttocks, and then your feet are parallel, hip width apart. And then from there, your hands are on the either side of your head, fingers pointing toward your heels, and then we begin to inhale and straighten up your arms, legs, and raise our torso into the air, meaning that when we lift our torso up, which kind of creates, as you notice, the upward bow shape. When we practice back bend, what should we be looking out for, or what should we be focusing on, or to prevent injuries? I'm gonna start it with the sacrum. The sacrum is the bony plate that forms the posterior wall of your pelvic cavity. And interesting fact or fun fact, it named for the fact that it was once considered the seat of the soul. So the part that the SACR translate to sacred. Fun fact. And then next one, I'm going to talk about the lumbar. The lumbar is a part of your lower back. Remember briefly when I mentioned about the S-shaped curve. What we want to do is to prevent the lower back pain or injury. We want to make sure that we maintain the posture when we lift up during our bending. And we try not to turn our feet outward, which can jam your sacrum, which may cause the lower back pain. We send signal to your spinal cord. That's how you feel the pain. When we first start practicing back bend, we experience some of the, experience tightness in the, your upper torso, your chest, also your thighs, and the shoulder girdle. I'm going to talk about some of the muscle group that might cause the tightness. First of all, let's talk about your upper torso, your pectoralis major and your latissimus dorsi. These are axial muscles that cross the shoulder joint and insert on your humerus. These muscles are responsible for attaching the arm to the trunk and the primer mover of the shoulder joint. And the pectoralis is, as you know, is the thick muscle that's in your memory region. I want to touch a little bit on your Latissimus dorsi. So start from the back and insert to your humerus, the middle of your back, through your spinous process. So that muscle responsible for extending the arm, arching the chest, and the action including like swinging your arm when you're walking, when you do bowling, hands grasping over the overhead object. And it's also pull your body forward and upward, such as climbing. That's the reason when we first started doing backbend, we can't really lift ourselves up. We felt the tightness, the tension right here. And if you notice, it's always hard. Imagine trying to do this, that's something if you don't really do often, you're gonna feel that tension, that tightness. So it's gonna take time for your muscle to learn. That's why we always unable to lift ourselves up when we're lying down, that position. For the trunk, we want to engage the rectus abdominis, which extending from the sternum to your pubis. For the hip, we want to engage the psoas. And then for the legs, we want to engage the quadricep. And this is very important. Always make sure that your armpit, your thighs, your knees don't roll out. Always to maintain the posture like this. It's like an anchor. You want 4 anchor. Your 2 hands, your 2 feet anchor, and you don't want to do anything that's gonna like outward. My final takeaway is yoga has become a very diverse. People practice at very young age, all the way to the elder population. And when we're young, we injure ourselves. It takes a short amount of time to heal, but as we get older, it's gonna take a very long time if we hurt our muscle, or ligament, or tendon. So it's always careful to not to overextend yourself. And if you go to studio or online, always to make sure that you ask your instructor, especially if you don't know something. Always ask ask them this posture. What is the muscle group that we're trying to focus on? What do we working on? It's not. If you look at it, it's not that hard to get a yoga instructor certificate. And always find somebody who's very knowledgeable in the human anatomy. Injury is not a joke. I'm very serious about that part. And when we look on social media or online, they always show you the amazing posture, always amazing handstand. And then, on the bottom, they always have this really inspire motivational quote, but we think that if they can do it, I can do it. That's not necessarily the case. It takes practice. And if you're serious about yoga, then take time to learn more about the human anatomy to prevent injuries. For me, I don't have any type of injury. I've always been pretty flexible, but however, as I dive deeper, learning more about the second series of Ashtanga, I know my limitation. So therefore, that's why I'm making all this video to tell you I'm not an expert, but I want to share what I learned. That way you guys can know and look, do more research on yourself. That's all I have for today. I hope everyone have a good week. And make sure you follow me if you haven't already. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Talk to you next time. Bye.